Morning YouTube, this is OPB here, coming at you with a quick video. Sorry for video right now. It's currently 4:30 in the morning. I'm on my way to work. Thought I'd make a video while I had this topic on my mind. Suburban and kind of your little neighborhoods that are just on the outskirts of town or city or whatever. That's where a lot of people do live. So I had a question asked of me last night of a friend of mine who had randomly brought up the topic of, hey man, I don't like where things are going. Have you noticed anything crazy, whatever? There's lots of people that are coming to me that are kind of sort of, how shall we say, waking up. And I said to him, man, it's really a bad time to start prepping right now, but in the terms of growing food, as it is winter time here, it's currently minus 15 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit for my American viewers. But I said to him, hey man, come spring, there's lots of stuff we can be doing. I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine, kind of thing. I can help you grow, but you're gonna have to give me a hand with a couple things. And he said, yeah, sure, not a problem. So in the meantime, I told him about storing food, canned soups, pasta, spaghetti sauce. Take one meal a day for 7 days that you like and buy 52 of them. That way you have, say, 52 meals worth of spaghetti. That's 52 days. Multiply that by 7 times 3 meals a day. You got a year's worth of food before you know it, and you can start attacking it little by little. I said to him, just buy things when they go on sale, but buy 52 of them. So if it takes you 1 pound of spaghetti or whatever to feed your family, well then buy 52 pounds of spaghetti when it goes on sale or whatever. Stuff like that. I said to him, rice. I said rice is cheap right now. You can buy a big bag for about $10, and that'll last you a month easy. I think it's like an 8 kilogram bag for $10, which is not bad. Definitely not as cheap as it used to be, but sorry guys, had a caffeinate there. In terms of other things that I had mentioned to them, come springtime, raised bed gardens. He doesn't really have a big piece of property per se. It's like your typical suburban lot. It's actually a fairly decent sized backyard. He's got a hot tub and stuff in the backyard. There's a little bit of yard left and stuff like that. He's got a big balcony, or not balcony, sorry, a deck that goes into his backyard with a hot tub on it, and you know, your typical suburban lot, right? So I said to him, hey man, like all those railings along your fence, like you can be growing small things in there, like medicinal herbs and spices and stuff like that. Your windowsills on the inside, man, are a great spot to grow garlic and stuff like that. And he said, yeah, I never thought of that. So utilizing space that you wouldn't normally use when you're living suburban, which I get it, which is where most people choose to live. Like everyone wants to live out in the country on a big piece of property, but sometimes it's just not feasible. Yeah, you can pack up all your stuff and move, but maybe that's not what you enjoy, right? Maybe you like your job and you like all that and you just want to stay suburban. Yeah, you can definitely do that, but you got to weigh your pros and your cons, and it all depends on your situation. Personally, I didn't see it as a viable situation anymore, so I moved, right? So if you're living suburban Try to look at alternative ways to make food. I would highly recommend stocking up on food, at a bare minimum 1 year supply for your family. But make sure you put that in rotation. Definitely have a good size prepper pantry, so to speak. Of a working pantry is key. Don't just put things in there and then be like, okay, box checker mentality, and check off that box and then think you're good for the rest of your life. No, it's not really how that works. Like, yes, some foods you can buy that are freeze dried or dehydrated, that'll last you 25 to 40 years, right? And yeah, that's good. You can box check with that, but the second you open that, you're starting the time clock to starvation, right? So try to have a way. Yes, start stockpiling your food, but I would recommend starting with, say, like a 6-month supply, a rotational supply. Canned foods, spaghettis, pastas, whatever, you know. Canned meat is a good one. Corned beef, tuna, stuff like that, right? Canned soups, canned vegetables, canned fruit, even. Stuff like that, like stuff that you can rotate through. Definitely take a look at that. That's where I would recommend people starting. Once you have your 6-month supply constantly, then I would start really attacking long-term food storage. So that's going to be your grains, your wheats, your beans, your rice, your dehydrated stuff, your freeze-dried stuff, stuff like that, right? The only downfall with dehydrated is keep in mind that it's going to require water. So I would recommend that you have at least 10 liters, I would say, per person, which is roughly what I have. That's still something I'm kind of lacking on. Well, right now it's winter time, so if I needed water, it's not really a problem considering there's about 1.5 feet of snow outside. I can find water, no problem, right? And I live right off the lake, off the freshwater lake, so again, not a problem. So that's, getting water for me is not a problem. Now I get it, some people, they live in areas where water is not as prevalent. So that's something you're gonna have to think about. Rainwater collecting, especially in a suburban situation, it's not really ideal. Yeah, sure, you can buy cases of water and stuff like that, but you're also going to have to think about that that's going to produce a lot of waste further on down the road. Once those bottles start getting emptied, and you can only reuse them for so long, right, before they start to just inherently break. They're not very thick bottles of water, and you're not really going to, like, yeah, okay, you can buy the Smart Water, which are really good bottles, and I recommend you at least buy a couple of those for your bug-out bags, because the Sawyer Mini will actually screw right onto the lid of that. This little sidetrack thought there. They're good, and you can use them as a filtration system with in coalition with a Sawyer Mini. That's a good system to use. I have that in a couple of my buddy kits. It's cheap, you throw it in, and they already got water in them, right? So keep that in mind. So yeah, rainwater collection when you're living suburban is a good idea. Although I know in some areas, like where I used to live, it's actually illegal. It was a bylaw. Why, I don't know. It doesn't really make any sense. But does anything the government do make sense? No, not really. So, rainwater collection, even if it is illegal, it's only illegal if you get caught, in my mind, in that circumstance. So maybe you disguise it, you put a little shed in your backyard, and in that shed you can have long-term food storage, because if it freezes and thaws, your chances of having bugs and stuff in there are a lot lower. You can kill off a lot of stuff, so maybe preserve your food longer. That's what they used to do. They used to let their stuff freeze, right? When it got cold. So maybe you have a little shed, and in that shed you have your long-term food storage, maybe some supplies, but it's outside of your home. So hypothetically, should your home, maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a flood inside your house, but everything that you need for long-term is out in your shed. Maybe some extra clothes, some warmer clothes, some sleeping bags, a couple of buddy kits, or your own kits even. I would recommend having some redundancies out there. Maybe a couple of cots, stuff like that. Something that you could like just prolong life with. Maybe a little wood stove, and the ability to make a hole in the roof. That's a good idea if you live in a cold area. Maybe a drill with a core attachment on it where you can drill a hole in the roof, so you can set up a little wood stove in there, stuff like that, right? Have all that stuff set up outside, inside the shed, pre-positioned, and then maybe to the side of that, maybe you build it close to the fence, and on maybe on either side, on the back side of the fence, you have a couple of IBC totes, right, that you can camouflage in there. Maybe you put some shrubbery around it, or build a little fence or whatever, something so that your nosy neighbors, if they can see it, they don't know it's there, right? Maybe you spigot that inside the shed, so that way when you get water, you're inside the shed, out of sight, so people don't notice you going in there or getting water or whatever. That's the thought. Instead of having the spigot on the outside, maybe you plumb it into the actual shed itself. That's something you can do. Maybe use a pressurized pump system, something you can pressurize it so that way it operates off pressure instead of having an electrical pump, or even a mechanical pump, which is going to make noise. Maybe you use a kind of like a hand pump system, as in like the old wells. Maybe you have something like that set up on the inside, so that way you can pump water from your IBC tote into whatever means of containment, the smaller means of containment to transport it. That's a good idea, in my opinion. But keep in mind, eventually those things are going to fill up, and once they fill up, you're going to have no more room. So have redundancies for when they do fill up. If they're full and you're getting a really big rainstorm, you don't want to waste that opportunity, right? So maybe you have a couple of cases of water that you use, and then you cycle through and you refill those with your rainwater catchment, and then you put them back underneath or wherever you store them. Maybe you have a couple reusable water bottles you can use. 2-liter soda bottles, those are great. Milk jugs, the plastic milk jugs, stuff like that. You can refill that. Vinegar containers. I actually use one of the smaller, I guess it's not really smaller, it was kind of regular size. They're like the 1.5 liter vinegar bottles. I recycle one of those for my water bottle at work. I know, kind of weird, but it just carries enough water to get me through until lunch, and then I just refill it at lunch. No point wasting an Nalgene bottle just take to work to get all greasy, right? And if I lose it, it's no big deal. It's a couple of cents for another bottle, right? But it's also reducing waste. Okay, I'm utilizing things that are going to be hard to manufacture. That's another thing too. If you're going to be buying stuff, try to think long term. How can I utilize this post event to better my survival situation? Like means of containment and stuff like that. another thing to think about if you're living suburbanly, security is going to be a huge problem. People are going to be trying to take your stuff. Crime rates are going to go through the roof. So having a plan to secure your home and to secure your neighborhood, more importantly, because you don't defend your house from your mailbox, as lots of people here on the internet say, especially Bear from Bear Independent and Pastor Joe Fox from Viking Preparedness. Very true statement. It's a saying I heard from them. I don't know if they're the original ones who said it, but definitely a very, very, very factual bit of information there. So keeping that in mind, you're gonna want to remember that that's gonna be a big issue. Now, if you live more rurally, it's not really gonna be a concern. If you live way out there like I do, it's an hour and a half drive into the nearest town. I got no problems with that. Nobody's walking out here. It's not going to happen. So those are just some things to think about. I might make a second video in this series on this topic, but don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can find me over on Pt.2, Ontario Preparedness Bushcraft. And you can also find me now on Patreon. My page is now active. If you wish, it would be greatly appreciated if you could go over there and subscribe. It starts at $1.50 Canadian per month. There's going to be lots of great content that's exclusive to Patreon over there. So you can go ahead and check that out if you wish. And on BitChute, you can also send a donation through PayPal if you wish to do a one-time kind of donation. Helps the channel grow, gives me more ability to better the channel and to put more time into it. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. OPB out.